Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here this morning. So I'm chairing the first session of this morning's discussion. The topic is on global financial safety net. Since we are in a very unconventional world, so I will probably chair this session also a little bit unconventionally. What I will do, rather than giving you opening remarks, I would like to give you a few slides as a background for this topic. Then I will invite the three distinguished speakers, Governor Guzman sitting next to me, and then Professor Yayati, and also Mr. Powell to speak. This is a very important topic, is a part of the G20 agenda items for the ministerial meeting G20 this month, but also for the summit in early September in China. Now, before I give you the background slides, and let me also thank the central bank governor and also Mark Guzman for organizing this panel. I think it's been very useful and very productive discussion. Now, Chip here also reminds me the annual meetings. Some of you probably were here last October, and these annual meetings in the history of the fund, probably also the World Bank, were really truly remarkable. Wonderful annual meetings because of the tremendous effort made by the government of Peru, including the Central Bank of Peru and the people sitting here. So still nowadays, we in IMF, but also the membership, are still talking about annual meetings October last year, almost a year ago, which is just remarkable. So with that, if you don't mind, I'll give you just a few slides very quickly, followed by the three speakers. The GFSN, Global Financial Safety Net. So basically, what is this? The GFSN, simply put, it refers to a set of crisis prevention and resolution financing instruments and institutions. So this is clearly one definition for this concept. Now, what purpose does GFSN serve? In my view, it serves probably three broad objectives. One, it provides insurance against crisis. Second, it provides financing to countries when crisis hit. Third, it provides incentives for sound policies by countries. And then, what does GFSN include? And I'm sure Governor Guzman will go deep into it. I will just touch upon very briefly. Broadly, there are two areas of resources. One, foreign exchange reserves held by countries. Two, external official arrangements, insurance and financing. Now, below external financial arrangements, we have bilateral swap lines among central banks. We have regional financial arrangements established mostly since the crisis. Then resources available in IMF. Also, there are some kind of market-based financing instruments that could be also used for this purpose, such as commodity price hedge and GDP-linked securities we discussed yesterday. However, the use of the market-based resources has been quite limited. Now, what is the size of the global financial safety net? As you can see from this chart, it has grown a lot since 2008. Before then, it was roughly about $400 billion. Today, it's about $400 trillion, as you can see here. Now, today, the official side, basically has three main components: IMF, bilateral swap arrangements, and regional financing arrangements. IMF resources doubled. Now, if we were then on top of the official resources, we have the foreign exchange reserves, which, of course, you all know, grown in a huge way, from about 2 trillion prior to the crisis to actually 2 trillion in 1995 to about 12 trillion today. So that's a huge part of the GFSN. Now, if we look at it a little bit slightly differently compared with N27 before the crisis, the global financial safety net amounted to about $7 trillion. Reserves accounted for 93%. IMF accounted for 6%. Now, in 2014, and we had 15 trillion altogether for the net. And the reserves accounted for about 3/4. And IMF accounted for 6%, 8%, slightly bigger, even though resources double. Now, foreign exchange reserve coverage, as you can see from this chart, is pretty uneven. Many parts of the world, reserve coverage based on the IMF, we call reserve adequacy matrix, is pretty good. It is say over 150% of the coverage. Some between 100, 150%, and some below 100%. Some we don't have data. The white area we don't have data, so we can't show. The bottom line is here: some countries have a lot of reserves, some have some, and some have very limited reserves. Now here, this chart shows the bilateral swap arrangement coverage by country. Here, I think there are three main kinds. One main kind is among the 6 large central banks: U.S. Fed, Bank of England, ECB, Bank of Japan, Swiss National Bank. Then the second type is some lines extended by U.S. Fed to emerging markets such as Brazil, South Africa. China has also increasingly provided swap lines to some emerging market countries. Now the amount China has outstanding is about $500 billion. Now the regional financial arrangements, as I said, since the crisis, have also grown in a big way. Today, I think it amounted to about 1.1 trillion. Here, as you can see, the biggest part is the European Stability Mechanism, and followed by Changmei Initiative in Asia. And then there are some smaller ones. So altogether, the number of the arrangements are quite large. Now, for the IMF, as I said, resources have grown. So here is the SDR allocations. The latest one we had is 2009. That's about 204 billion SDRs, so about $300 billion. Now, the IMF resources, there are 2 components. One is quota-based resources, is about 473 billion SDRs, so about $650 billion. Now, another element is the borrowing resources from some member countries. Now, basically, the amount is roughly equal. So altogether, IMF resources now amount to about $1.3 trillion. Now, since the crisis, as many of you know, IMF also has made effort to streamline policies, including the access to use IMF resources limits have doubled. And then conditionality streamlined quite a lot. Then some precautionary lending instruments have been created. Then how does the GFSN work, or how effective has it been? Well, we look at it. It seems that it has helped limit crisis contagion. It has also helped provide liquidity to the market, to countries in need, increase market confidence, and also support policy adjustment by the countries that are hit by the crisis. However, a lot of issues remain. That's the purpose, I think, for this morning discussion. One is about overall size. Is this big enough, or do we need more? Second, is the coverage of the GFSN sort of adequate, even, or fragmented? Third, is the use of such safety net can be timely reliable or even easy to predict. Fourth, to use such a safety net, clearly there's a cost involved. Is the cost reasonable or can be lowered? Finally, does the current financial safety net provide enough incentive for a country to do policy adjustment? So these are the questions I think that need to be examined. Now, in addition, as we all know, the world is facing a lot of transitions. Yesterday, we spent a long time discussing most of the topics. Low and uneven growth is a huge topic. China's economic transition and its implication. Commodity price volatility and its implication. Refugee crisis and other shocks. So facing all these challenges, so the question facing us to look at the global financial safety net is, I have 3 questions for us to go through and for the speakers to cover. 1, what are the most critical problems of the current GFSN? So what are the problems? Or should we do something about it? 2, what are the priority reform areas? Assuming that there are weaknesses, what should we do? In which area should we strengthen or make an efforts? Finally, international coordination among various GFSN players is key. For example, IMF, swap arrangements, regional financing arrangements, use of the foreign exchange reserves is the key. How can we strengthen? In some way, I think we are still weak in this particular area. So these are the questions I'm just suggesting for us to discuss. So I think that's it from me. It's very simple, just a few background notes. Thank you. Then I'll invite Governor Guzman, if you don't mind, to speak. Thank you.